we must all come together. We must have an open mind of coming together, putting all our capabilities together and confront the evil that is in the villa. Most Nigerians today don't feel they belong to this country or belong to this government unless they have a Yoruba sounding name. We all know that Nigeria is in grave danger. And we know that we've witnessed governments, we've seen them perform, we've seen them not perform. We've seen our situation as a country sometimes improving, sometimes not improving. But in the 65 years I have lived in Nigeria, which is post-independence Nigeria, there has never been a government that within 12 months has shown it did not come to work for the people, but for themselves. Within 24 months, this government, this APC government, has thrown 30 million more Nigerians into poverty. Each and every person that lives in Nigeria, whether you're rich or poor, know the difference between life on 29th May 2023 and life in September 2025.
The pretty thing for the president to do is to do what? Begin campaigning well ahead of time. I said it to many other studios. The government panicked, especially because the signals coming from the north were not pretty good signals. The idea for the president is that if we paralyze, pulverize, and neutralize the political south as the only standing force, then he can levy political war on the north. But if you have a President Jonathan from President Jonathan or P2B coming on board to dismember the South and break that unity into pieces by isolating the president and his team to the Milokun section of the South, that means the Southwest, liberating the Southeast and the South-South for the other two, or one of them. It means the North will now settle the score for two certain brothers in a very, very strong, robust political context. Because of that reason, he needed to re-engineer the North. The first part of the engineering was when he shot the vice president. I won't stop at that. If they've had their way and less noise was made, possibly a team of the Northeast could have been sacrificed for somebody of the Northwest. Now I'm shifting from the Kanuri corridor. They may claim the corridor has only two potent states, Borno and Yobe, to the Fulani corridor, which has a lot more states. Sokoto, Kebbi, Zamfara, Katsina, okay, right down to Jigawa, Kano, etc.
Is that your guesstimate?
The point is that politics is a game of number.
Right.
At the end of the day, what is concealed in the dark will be revealed in the day. The president is going to be renominated by his party, and he's going to choose a running mate. It's either he retains the vice president or he shifts the ground.
If he won with Shettima, albeit a close call, why do you think he would want to change the winning formula?
It wasn't even a close call. I said it was like a disastrous victory if he can use such a term. When he scored 37% over 100, that's not a close call. The other party is lost. He didn't win. If you combine the votes of PDP and Labour,
elections are zero-sum, aren't they?
That's 63% of the vote. That's almost a compact majority. That's a minority president, a minority victory. So he actually lost in terms of the number, in terms of the arithmetic of it. And that is because he was not even known. Check history. Obama did very well in 2008 because say, yes, we can. The fire, the spirit of audacity, that charisma carried him through. 2012, he did very poorly because they've seen him for 4 years and said, he's a regular politician like the rest of them. Buhari came. Mr. Stop corruption, stop indiscipline. So second, it was much more difficult. Jonathan, even former President Jonathan, shoeless, breath of fresh air, not a typical politician. He did it. Second time, he conceded. So this president will not do as well in 2027 as he did in 2023. Something robs off you, except your achievement is spectacularly exaggerated or extravagant.
And you don't think Tinubu would survive a referendum in 2027?
He can see that 2027 will be a referendum on his own governance. It will be a promise of a better tomorrow. He just said, for 4 years, he gave it to me. I removed subsidy, life is better for you. I floated in Naira, everything is fine. Education is good, transportation is nice. The money I've given to the workers is solving their problems. These things can be said because people say, hello, this is alternate universe or alternate truth. We know the reality of the day. People are hurting. How do you think a man who not only won 2023 will win 2027 when there's nothing to run on? 2023, a certain P2P took the brand of a very small party, typically unknown, called Labour Party. No infrastructure. I don't use the corrupt term structure. No infrastructure mean deeply embedded apparatus that can mobilize people for you, protect your vote, what they call mandate protection, canvas for you, interlinkages, networking ability and so on. And then political godfathers and godmothers and goduncles and cousins there to work for you. He smashed through the entire Southeast. He beat everybody. None of the other candidates scored 25%. Maybe in one state, I don't know. South, he did extraordinarily very well. That means capturing governors or senators or getting them to defect will not solve your problem. Because this is not organic. You're picking them from the top, but the mass base is still intact. Raring to go, bitter, angry, disenchanted and discontented. If you add the Jonathan mix, that's a phenomenon. 11 years ago, late Senator Ifeanyi bettered or founded TAN, Transformation Ambassadors of Nigeria. I was the spokesperson of that TAN. I was the face of that TAN. What was the mission of TAN? That Jonathan has done well in the first term. Nigerians now demand he should do a second term. 11 years later, there's a clarion call that the man who picked up the phone and called his opponent, I lost, you won, congratulations. And for 10 years, built up an incredible stature as a global leader, as a statesman. He's being pressed upon by people, very powerful individuals, that the country is hurting. We're on the edge of the precipice. We need you to come and salvage this country. Whether he answers the call is a different matter, but if he does, he reshapes the politics of the nation. One on many scores. The North that rejected him 2015 seemed to be, from my conversations with a lot of the leaders in the North, that we made a mistake in that rejection. Maybe it was just a moral card in terms of the zoning thing. But you can see what they did with the marginal education, with the TAM, we did with the inclusive governance model. Chairman of the party was from the North. The chairman of the IDEC chairman from the North. His principal secretary has him took over from the North. His national advisor, somebody that's from the North. You don't have that anymore under Buhari and Bala Tinubu. You find a president who was able to build consensus among all the major and smaller groups in the country, and grew the economy to the biggest in Africa. And even for Boko Haram, they stand still. So that nostalgic feeling that he should come and save this country is growing. And if he does, I can bet you the North will heave in a tectonic shift away from everybody. Does
Jonathan still have some political currency to leverage? Someone saying
that's the currency I'm giving you. It's not alone.
Someone saying, he's lost his position. He's lost the momentum. I mean, there's still that nostalgia, but he might have lost his touch.
It's not the nostalgia. It is real. When you have a president, a country that is growing in stature, economy that is booming, people that are prosperous, the journal becomes mere nostalgia. But when you find an economy that is tanking, when you find people that are hurting, when you find multidimensional poverty and denuded living as the order of the day, people will remember those days in which the Naira was $1 to 200 or thereabout, in which the economy was the biggest in Africa, in which a lot of attention was paid to the youth, in which security was even taken seriously, in which there was inclusion in governance. Not this kind of a local, kind of insular, narrow, regionalist mindset of supremacist and hegemonic politics. So the big deal for Jonathan, and most crucially, let's be practical about it, he has only one time. That is key for the North, because 2031, there won't be any argument. That's why Peter B was very quick to say, right, I have one term to do, even if you give it to me. Right. Because we know that morally, the very imperative that will drive political success is to say, 2023 to 2031 is the turn of the South. 2031 onwards is the turn of the North. Jonathan taking this plunge will be a game changer. Peter will be taking the plunge, and getting the nod of the major party is a game changer. Within the PDP, you can see the work being done there. The chairman of the Governors Forum, the governor of Bauchi State, Bala Mohammed, had led the charge to rebuild and reform and retool the party in that direction. Successful convention November, Jonathan will be in the mix. Bola Tinubu is toast.
Nigeria is going down and down. It has never been this bad in my 65 years of being alive in this country. But this is not a conference of lamentations. This is a conference about the future. Our future is in our hands. We must register to vote. We must get everyone that is 16, 17 years of age now and above to register to vote. Because by 2027, they will be 18. Imo State, and indeed the entire Southeast, is lagging behind in the continuous voter registration exercise. This is not acceptable. The only power you have is your vote. It's the only thing you can use to kick out this government and replace it with something better. So I appeal to all of you here, you're all leaders in your own right, to please go back to your communities, to your villages, to your organizations, and encourage every adult to register to vote. That's the first step. The second step, of course, is to come out to vote on election day and vote against the APC. Number two, as you're aware, we have adopted a party for the coalition, the African Democratic Congress, the ADC. So why am I here speaking to SDP chieftains? I'm here to tell you that the adoption of the ADC is the first step. There are further steps where other opposition parties like the SDP, the NNPP, even the PDP or whatever is left of it, will join this coalition. This is a coalition to save Nigeria. To save Nigeria from extremely bad governance. A government of cronies that we have never seen in our history. We must do it with single-minded focus. And we must put all our differences aside and ensure that this is done. The third point I want to make is that post-2027, the job of rebuilding Nigeria and bringing back the confidence and feeling of inclusion in governance will start. It's not going to be easy. Every Nigerian must have a sense of belonging. Most Nigerians today don't feel they belong to this country or belong to this government unless they have a Yoruba sounding name. And we must work together. We must not get angry. We must see this as a phase and a lesson on nation building. We must not be bitter or say we will revenge or retaliate what is being done now. But we must go back, work together as a people united, to rebuild institutions that are being destroyed, to appoint people to positions on merit, and to ensure that election time we stand up to protect our votes and not be intimidated by anyone, whether it is police, the military, or INEC. We must register to vote, we must vote and insist that our votes count. This is our message right across Nigeria. I've been going around the country. I've been speaking to many people like you with this same message. For me, it does not matter who is the next president of Nigeria. But I want to see somebody who is competent and who cares about lifting the poorest of us. And giving opportunity for the most endowed amongst us to excel, to realize their full potentials. Government should be an enabler of those that are weak to rise, an enabler of those that are strong to be even stronger. No one needs to be shortchanged in a government that is concerned about the people. But when a government is concerned about getting things for itself, a few families and a few friends, then the whole of society suffers. And we've seen a lot of this in Nigeria. We must come together. We must unite. We must be strong and resilient and work to make our country better. It is okay to sit and blame the leaders, but we should ask ourselves in our little areas, because each and every one of us here is a leader of some sort. You may just be the leader of your family or the leader of a group of friends. You may be a follower to the governor of Imo State, but in your family, in your schools, in your circle of friends and social interactions, you are a leader too. How have you led people? Have you led with integrity? Have you led by example? Because unless you lead by example, you make those that are below you even more cynical. This government has said it is undertaking fundamental reforms. And we agree with some of the reforms. But leaders should lead by example. You can't ask us to tighten our belts while you are buying a new plane and a brand new car for yourself. This is Latvia. Seriously, this is what I mean when I say lead by example. Because the people that you lead are looking up to you to see whether, when you ask them to sacrifice, you are also making a bigger sacrifice. When you ask them to walk, you are running. That's why you're a leader. And when people don't see that, they get cynical, they begin to distrust leaders, and this is what has happened to Nigeria. But I'm appealing to you, my friends, my colleagues, members of the SDP, that we should never, never, ever lose hope. This country is not a geographical expression. It is a creation of God. And we lost 2 million lives to keep this country the way it is. It is too late for us to go back and bring those 2 million lives. But what we can do is to make Nigeria the China of Africa, and we can do it. We can do it, and by the grace of God, we will do it. All we need is leadership that leads by example, that treats every Nigerian equally, that focuses on getting people based strictly on merit while reflecting our diversity. It is not difficult, it can be done. And by the grace of God, working together, all of us, we will achieve it. I thank you once again for inviting me to this conference and to Imo State. And I'm sorry if I've spoken too much and with too much emotion. But thank you. But I have only one passport, my Nigerian passport. And I'm not going anywhere until I see this country improve.
PDP must be reborn, rebirthed, regenerated. ADC must find its footing and bearing in order to survive. Labour Party have to find its own direction here and there. The moment they start doing that, the system, of course, will be heated up. The heating up didn't start from the opposition ranks. It started from the ranks of APC, the president of the country, and the presidency.
What about the cost on the polity, on governance? Because the trade-off is that the administration becomes too distracted that governance suffers.
Deliberately, the administration distracted itself on two scores. When you have very little to offer, you find something else to distract the people. In terms of policy implementation, policy enunciation, this government came with two broad macroeconomic strokes. Subsidy is gone on day one. Weeks later, Naira floated. These shocks have not abated. It has led to incremental growth of multidimensional poverty. It has led to depreciated living standard of the people. It has ruined so many homes. It has rendered people pauperized. It has even increased insecurity. The moment you know that these policies, which are neoliberal policies, forced upon us from outside, are not working, you must find a way to breathe easy. That is campaigning, going towards 2027. That's why I said that the presidential team panicked in the sense that the policies are not working. As many of these policies have been thrown all over the place, but they are not sticking well. If you ask around their four key domains or sites of life: security, apparatus or infrastructure or architecture. How far is it? Northeast, north central, northwest, southeast. How is it going? Not well at all. Welfare of the people, prosperity of the people, transportation, education cost, and so on, living standard, cost of food, staple food, and so on. Not pretty picture. Health-wise, not pretty picture. So ultimately, what we have to do is to shift the campaign, the debate, away from policies that have failed or failing into focus.
You think the verdict is out already on the Tinubu reform?
There's nothing this government can do to change to 2027, because ultimately by 2026, second quarter, if I'm not mistaken, the primaries of all the parties will take place. The candidates who will face off against him will emerge. Campaign will start whether INEC likes it or not. That's what's going to happen. He needed 2 years, solid 2 years, to avoid politics and govern. He didn't get the 2 years because he decided to throw this 2027 transitional politics into the ring.
Good day, viewers all over the world, and welcome back to Local Journal. We've heard what Nigerians are saying concerning the sitting president and in particular the former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, saying that they will do everything that they'll have to do to remove President Bola Ahmed Tinubu from power come 2027, because his government is an unfortunate government. His government is a government that has made Nigeria stagnant and taken Nigeria aback, and his government is a government that is making Nigerians to suffer, even when Nigerians don't deserve to suffer. He alleged that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government had done everything to have money in surplus to better the lives of Nigerians, but instead of bettering the lives of Nigerians, they decided to loot the money and use it for their own personal and selfish interest. And for that reason, that they will do everything to remove the president and his government from power come 2027. And he's very serious about it. And if you look at the sentiment of people in the country today, you will know that people are not interested in this government. A whole lot of Nigerians are not interested in this government. The thing is owing to the fact that there is insecurity in the land, there is suffering in the land, and there are so many things going wrong in this country. Nigeria don't seem to be progressing physically, but on paper, what these technocrats or the so-called technocrats under this current administration are telling Nigerians is that inflation is reducing and is on decline. That's for consecutively 5 months. That is what they are saying, but this is not what is obtainable when you go to the market, because the prices of things are still high relatively, and to a very great extent, the purchasing power of most Nigerians has been kind of declined, has been reduced to the barest minimum, and at this point, they can't even afford what they normally used to afford before because of the burden, these subsidy removal and some other taxes that have been introduced by this current administration has brought upon them and their families. And this is actually one of the problems you are having. And another thing they've also complained is actually the fact that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is appointing his own cronies and people from the western part of the country in his administration only. We know this was the same part President Muhammadu Buhari told on But it didn't all go well with him because he planted a seed of discord among Nigerians, and that is the retaliation that is currently going on. It is the retaliatory answer or process that is going on now. This is what the current Tinubu's administration is showing them, that if you can do it to other part of the country as a northerner, I can also do it to other part of the country as a westerner as well. And so I believe it's based on the seed that was planted by the late President Muhammadu Buhari that the current administration is further watering. So I believe they can't give him the blame wholesomely for that. And talking about the situation of 2027, if you know that the current administration is not going to have an easy run seamlessly just like 2023, then you are somebody that can actually see the future, because as it stands today, we have somebody like Obi who is very popular amongst the youth, who has a very cult followership base on the standby. We have Atiku from the north, who enjoys the support of the north also, who is on standby as well and planning to contest in 2027 as well. Then we also have former President Goodluck Jonathan Ebele, who has done a single 4-term tenure and still have the leverage, or still have the opportunity to do another additional 4 years come 2027 on standby as well. So if these people decides to come up now or decides to run, or if Obi and Atiku decides to like kind of settle their grudge, or maybe come together and form a coalition and deputize themselves, you know that it's going to be a very, very difficult run for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu come 2027. And looking at the factor of President Goodluck Jonathan, if Jonathan comes on board again, the southern vote that's supposed to be a bulk of vote for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be divided, and the northern part of the country will be the one to settle this score. And going to the northern part of the country, the sentiment there is skewed to favor other candidates as to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because they feel they give much to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government, but he gave them nothing in return. And as we all know, to whom much is given, much is also required. And in this context, since they are alleging that they have not gotten what they are supposed to get from this current administration, there is no way they are going to be forced or be convinced to vote this current administration, except something changes before 2027 election. And this is where I feel President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is currently in a fix, because he needs to wrap up his head and change his game plan to know how to fix this, because the problems are going to be too many for him to sort. Number one thing is solving the problem of Goodluck Jonathan coming back on the ballot box and looking for how to demystify this Obi and Atiku's union or candidacy. That is the major problem he's having, because he needs to do everything to get the whole southern blocks of vote if he wants to return as the president, or probably he has another game plan, which is rigging the election and coming back by force. Else, I don't think it's going to be very easy for him, and it's going to be an easy run for him come 2027, because the way the sentiment of Nigerians and the way Nigerians are feeling about his administration is not something to write home about. And so there is nothing that says or nothing that projects him having an easy ride come 2027. Of course, we know he's doing his bit in some aspects and trying to like revive the economy, but still yet what they are saying or what they are admonishing the public or Nigerians to practice, that is not what they are practicing themselves as the top leaders, as the leaders of this country. They are telling Nigerians to endure and endure the pain. But on the other hand, they are squandering the resources, the meager resources that we are supposed to use in building our economy. They are squandering it on irrelevant things and irrelevant trips. So how do you reconcile that? How do you want Nigerians to understand with you when you are not doing things that will make Nigerians understand as well? So it's not making any sense. So for him, he needs to do what he has to do to get the confidence of Nigeria, to get the support of Nigerians before 2026 and before 2027 election. This is what I have to say. Can you drop your own opinion in the comment section? And if today is your first time to visit our channel, please kindly like, share and subscribe to our channel.